There are many problems a World Cup manager prepares for before an opening match. Fitness doubts, tactical details, media pressure, squad discipline, and the emotional weight of carrying a nation's expectations into the biggest tournament in football. Thomas Tuchel knows that pressure better than most. He has managed elite clubs, won the Champions League, and survived dressing room storms at Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, and Bayern Munich. But just days before England's 2026 World Cup opener against Croatia in Dallas on June 17, Tuchel was forced to deal with something nobody had planned for: a police investigation into missing team equipment. England had been based in Florida for their pre-tournament preparations before moving to their training base at Swope Soccer Village in Kansas City, Missouri. Somewhere during that move, items from the team's transport were reported missing. According to reports, the stolen gear included spare footwear, signed shirts, and a football, while authorities later recovered several items and detained suspects. Now, this is not just a funny behind-the-scenes football story. It matters because the confirmation came through law enforcement, not just social media rumors. When a national team arrives at a World Cup base and discovers equipment missing, it raises serious questions about logistics, security, and preparation inside a host country responsible for protecting the tournament environment. For England, the incident may not destroy their campaign. The biggest players still have time to train, replacements can be arranged, and the squad's focus remains on Croatia. But symbolically, it is embarrassing. A team expected to compete for the trophy should not be dealing with missing equipment, police reports, and security concerns 4 days before kickoff. So the real question is not who stole the gear. The bigger question is this: how did England's World Cup operation become vulnerable at the worst possible moment? The exact circumstances of how the theft happened remain part of an active police investigation, so it would be irresponsible to go beyond what has been confirmed. But what is already known is serious enough. England's World Cup preparation was disrupted before their opening match, with team equipment reported missing during the move from Florida to Missouri. According to reports, boots, training items, signed shirts, and football-related equipment were among the belongings affected. Early claims suggested that high-profile players, including Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham, were among those whose gear may have been involved. Tactical materials linked to Thomas Tuchel's preparation were also reported missing, including tools used to communicate ideas, shapes, and session plans. Some people may hear that and think, it is only equipment. But at World Cup level, nothing is small. Boots are not just boots. For elite players, they are broken in, adjusted, and trusted. Kane does not treat match footwear as a fashion choice. It is part of performance, comfort, timing, and confidence. Tactical tools are not just boards and markers. They represent weeks of planning, analysis, and communication between coach and players. The Football Association responded calmly. Replacements could be sourced. Sessions could be adjusted. The Croatia match would go ahead. England would not collapse because of missing gear. But that professionalism does not erase the bigger issue. A major national team had its World Cup operation disrupted in the host country just days before kickoff. And this is where the story becomes bigger than England. Because the theft sits inside a wider security and fraud environment surrounding the 2026 World Cup. The FBI had already warned that criminals were creating fake FIFA-style websites to steal personal information, sell fake tickets, and promote fraudulent hospitality packages. Some of these sites use typo-squatting tricks, changing only one letter in a web address to fool fans into thinking they were on an official FIFA page. In Canada, consumer protection groups also warned supporters about fake tickets and scams targeting World Cup excitement. Fans paying real money could arrive at stadium gates with tickets that do not scan, packages that do not exist, or personal details already in criminal hands. So England's stolen equipment is not just a strange headline. It is a warning sign. The 2026 World Cup is not only a football tournament. It is a security, logistics, and fraud challenge unfolding. Accommodation scams became the most dangerous threats facing World Cup supporters. Many fans had completed the difficult part: securing visas, buying tickets, arranging flights, and preparing to travel across North America. But after all that effort, criminals were waiting at the final step. Fraud reports described schemes involving properties that were not real. Some listings used AI-generated images of apartments that never existed. Others appeared legitimate at first, only for the booking to be cancelled at the last minute, sometimes hours before arrival. Analysts called this the matchday relocation scam. It targeted fans during the most stressful part of tournament travel, when hotel rooms were full, prices were rising, and supporters had little time to find another place. This was not ordinary online fraud. Cybersecurity researchers warned that criminals had been preparing for more than 2 years, since Qatar 2022. Fake identities were created, verified, and left inactive long enough to appear trustworthy. By the time the 2026 World Cup arrived, these accounts looked real. They had profiles, histories, and credibility. Then they were used across ticket resale sites, betting markets, accommodation platforms, and travel services. That is what makes this tournament different. The expanded format, 3 host countries, huge travel distances, and enormous commercial demand created an environment for organized fraud. Fake FIFA-style websites, fake tickets, fake apartments, and fraudulent hospitality packages became part of the same problem. Criminals exploiting the pressure, excitement, and urgency surrounding the World Cup. Now connect that to the England equipment theft in Kansas City. On the surface, stolen boots and fake accommodation listings seem like separate stories, but they point to the same wider issue. The 2026 World Cup has become a massive global security and logistics challenge, not just football. For an ordinary England supporter, the risk is real. You could survive the ticket queue, pay higher prices, arrange flights, get a visa, and still be trapped by a scam at the final moment. At the stadium gate, at the hotel desk, or outside an apartment that was never real. That is the uncomfortable reality behind the glamour of this World Cup. You have your visa, or maybe you are from a country that does not need one. You have found accommodation in Kansas City, where England's group stage matches are being played. You have paid for tickets, booked flights, trusted websites, and planned every step of the journey. But all of this is happening in an environment where the FBI has already warned that criminal networks are targeting almost every part of the World Cup experience. Tickets, hotels, payments, fake websites, fake packages, fake listings. Against that background, the theft from England's own team van feels less like a random incident and more like a symbol of the wider atmosphere around this tournament. There is no perfect historical comparison in World Cup history, but the pattern is familiar. Whenever a major international event concentrates huge money, global attention, and millions of visitors in one place, criminal activity follows. The Olympics have faced it. The Super Bowl faces it every year on a smaller scale. And the 2026 World Cup, with 48 teams, 16 cities, 3 countries, and billions of viewers, has created exactly those conditions. England will manage. Thomas Tuchel has faced bigger football problems. Harry Kane can get new boots. The whiteboards can be replaced. What cannot be stolen is the tactical understanding built over weeks of preparation. England will still walk out against Croatia on June 17th with Kane, Bellingham, Saka, and a squad strong enough to compete deep into the tournament. But this story is now part of the 2026 World Cup record. Not because it decides England's tournament, but because it shows how complicated this World Cup has become. So what do you think? Could this disruption affect England's focus, or will they turn it into motivation? Either way, for a few extraordinary days, Harry Kane's missing boots became one of the strangest stories in English football.